Yo, man, that was a sweet riff. Yeah, man, truly reminiscent of the guitar legends. Just one question. What string gauge? At some point in history, people started using animal parts to craft guitar strings. We're talking catgut here. The intestinal lining, I can't imagine Ernie Ball selling something like that nowadays. That would get some people really mad. But anyways, World War II comes and goes, and then we get steel guitar strings. For example, these are my dad's from when he was a youngin' back in the 60s, and they're flat wound Gibson guitar strings. It was simple, it was nickel. Sure, you could go up in string size to make the guitar sound louder, but after a certain point, does it even make a difference? That's what we're gonna find out today. I mean, look at this, I'm stacked. I'm literally stacked. So I'm gonna use these D'Addario, throw them in boiling water that's over 100 degrees Fahrenheit for about 5 minutes. Strings are so satisfying to me. I've been hearing this little factoid for as long as I could remember, and it particularly applies to bass instruments. So when your strings get dirty, I don't know if you're a greasy person, to save money you can actually take the bass strings off, boil them in water, and they sound brand new again, allegedly. And honestly, like beyond that, beyond the trolling, I genuinely think there's some kind of a difference between boiling your strings and not boiling them before you put them on a guitar. So to kick things off for this first restring, I have some nut sauce. You heard that right. Big Ben's, big nuts, nope. Big sauce. I like to put a little bit on each saddle, a little bit on the wang bar, and a tiny bit on each nut slot. There's a couple things to keep in mind when you're tuning a vintage style guitar. Say we're on the low E string here, right? I take that point right there, and then I go 2 tuning mechs up, and that's where I'll cut the string. I'll just do that for each string. So A string, bonk, 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 bonk. And then for these higher strings, when you run out of space, take the point of 1 tuning peg, and then wrap that around 2 tuning pegs, and then that's where you go. In the past, I would just take the string right through the nut slot and then restring it like that, but no, that's not what you're supposed to do. That just files down the nut, and over time, your string is going to lose a lot of that natural height. So I'll show you what I do. We're here, right? Gotta lock it in place like that. While restringing it, pull that string up and away from the nut slot so you can avoid grinding the precious nut material. And see how I'm holding it up away from the nut slot? Yeah, you just do it that way. For this guitar here, I'm going to demonstrate how Jimi Hendrix and John Frusciante used to string up their guitars. Gosh, these really are a pain to string up. For some reason, Hendrix only wound his low E string in the opposite direction. Like, it's not streamlined like this in some photos. It's wound completely backwards. I don't know why he did that. It could have something to do with the reversed headstock, but food for thought. Like, why does it have so much give? That ain't right. Listen, low E string. I think I got a defective string. For these last 2 strings, the high B and E, bear with me, this is a reversed headstock. What I've done for so long, and just recently found out John Frusciante does the same thing, cut the string here. To keep the string locked in and taut, I got the nut sauce, and I also got this little trick up my sleeve. Put it in, point it down, and then just slip it through like that. As you're restringing the instruments, go up and down as opposed to having the string pointed straight up as you restring it. Make sure that string overlaps. Sometimes that happens. Locked in. I mean, it's not the prettiest job, but it'll keep that string in tune for the most part. And of course, after every string change, I love to check my action. It's like a fetish. What the fuck? Most of the time you'll be okay. You only really need to worry about this if you go up in string gauge. But if you're the type of person who likes to get used to something that's uncomfortable, by all means, I always fix the action. You need the strings to kind of be on an incline up until the D string, and then it goes back down. And obviously, you gotta check the intonation afterwards. I learned all my skills from YouTube, by the way. I like to make sure the saddles are as straight as possible. Once they start getting British on me, my OCD kicks in. Overall, I can't hear anything right now because I have earplugs in. But I have 3 packs of strings, different brands, and I put them on 3 different Stratocasters of mine. Yes, I strung everything up, but that was to save money. Just wanted to get your prices on a guitar restring.
Yeah, I think it's like 20-30 bucks.
20-30 bucks. Okay. An anonymous individual took the strings out of the packages and then labeled them with numbers, so I really don't have a clue. I figured I'd start from my very first guitar and then move up the ladder. My first Fender ever is this Jimi Hendrix Edition Stratocaster. I know this guitar. That maple neck just adds a whole new level of snap to the equation. The strings feel kind of cheap, almost as if it's a cheap Stratocaster with a custom shop logo over it. Like, once you've played Ernie Balls, you know how they feel like. That's my guess here. So much richer. Are you kidding me, dude? As soon as I find out what strings these are, they're gonna become permanent. There's no mask per se. This is a true blue nickel guitar string, I can tell you right now. Now let's just hear the natural sound. Not nearly as snappy as what we had on the childhood Strat there.
Paquete 3.
We've just gone down in brightness throughout this whole progression here. By the way, this is my custom shop Stratocaster, a graduation gift. Probably my last Fender guitar. Probably. Okay, I think the blue Strat is the Diodarios.
Yes, very
Okay,
good.
now the black Strat, I think those are the pure blues, the pure nickels.
Yes. And that leaves the white Strat.
Is A?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
3 out of
probably
3?
got it, yeah.
Heck yeah. Can we get some prices on camera right now? This has to be over 60 years old. A guitar strap, $3. Freaking cable, $3. These are AliExpress prices. Ultimately, after testing 3 string brands, all the same string gauge, my favorite strings are the Pure Blues by Doctor. Pure nickel guitar strings are relatively mellow. Right in the middle of the road, we have the Diodarios, not D'Addario, like I said earlier. These are consistently in my setup. They're part nickel, part steel, most likely. And then dead last, we have Ernie Ball. I believe these are nickel wound as well, just a bright spanky guitar string. I mean, you probably can't go wrong with these, especially if Eric Clapton bought them back in the day.